Bienvenidos, welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the place where we discuss all things USMNT, la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian. I'm joined once again by my co-host and Tocayo, Adrian. Adrian, how you doing, man?
Hey, glad to be back here, man. Let's get to it, bro.
Yeah, man. It's January 18th. The roster dropped for the USMNT January camp. A lot of new faces that have not previously got a cap with the US, looking to make their first game, their first cap against either Serbia or Colombia later this month. Two games that are going to be held in the United States. The first two games since the World Cup for the main team. Yeah, man. Let me read off the list here of the players that were selected by the tentative coach here. As we know, the USA still does not have any official coach, nor has said anything official about greggberhalter or anybody going forward. So the goalkeepers called in are Roman Celentano from FC Cincinnati, 0 appearances for the US. Sean Johnson currently doesn't have a team; he has 10 appearances. And Gaga Slonina, the new Chelsea goalkeeper, with 0 appearances, going to hope to make his first appearance for the US. Defender Jonathan Gomez from Real Sociedad. Julian Gressel with Vancouver Whitecaps. De Juan Jones with New England Revolution. Aaron Long, the guy with the mullet that was in the World Cup that didn't play, 29 appearances. Jalen Neal, LA Galaxy, 0 appearances with the US. Sam Rogers, Rosenborg in Norway, 0 appearances. John Tolkien, New York Red Bulls. Walker Zimmerman, the defender that played in the US World Cup, the one that gave the penalty to Gareth Bale in that one game. But other than that, he played really well, I think, in the World Cup. Midfielders, Paxton Aronson, the brother of Aronson, the Leeds player. Kellen Acosta, we've seen him before. Aiden Morris, Paxton Pomical for Dallas. Alan Sonora, Eric Williamson for Timbers. And then forwards, Paul Arriola, Cade Cowell for San Jose Earthquakes. Jesus Ferreira, who we've seen in the World Cup. Matthew Hoppy, who plays in Middlesbrough in England. Emmanuel Sabi, who plays for Odense, in Denmark, and Brandon Vazquez for Cincinnati, and Alejando Zendejas for Club America in Mexico. So before we get into the last two, who are really the main ones, I feel, from this roster, a couple players that I kind of want to highlight. Starting with Gaga Slonina, the Chelsea keeper. You and I follow Chelsea a lot, and he's been training with the first team recently since he moved out there. He probably won't make his debut for Chelsea anytime soon with Eduardo Mendy, Kepa, and the Italian goalkeeper they have on third on the bench. I forget his name, but. It's nice to know that he's playing out there against competitive players and high players. It'd be nice to go ahead and give him his first cap. I think he's probably for 2026. Either that might come a little too early for him, or he'll be the guy. But definitely, I think 2030 he'll probably be the guy to be leading the back line for the U.S. as a goalkeeper there. The U.S. has always produced pretty decent keepers. Tim Howard.
Yeah.
Before that, Casey Keller. They also had Brad Friedel in Tottenham for a long time. So this might be another player that adds to that list. And then Paxton Aronson, the brother of Brendan Eriksson that plays in Leeds. He recently moved to this month, or this transfer window, he moved to Frankfurt over in Germany. He's played in a couple friendlies for Frankfurt since the Bundesliga hasn't kicked off yet, but he'll be looking to make his first start for the U.S. His first cap for the U.S. this winter break or the January break, and also break into the Frankfurt team over there in Germany. That's we've talked about it before. That's another team that we'd like to see the U.S. or Mexico players go to, the level we like to see them go to, and. Man, it's crazy how the U.S. has been just sending these players out there, right?
Hey, do you know if? Well, I know that a lot of these players go out there because of MLS and U.S. soccer paying some of their fees, right? But is it also related to them having a dual nation citizenship, so they don't have to I guess spend any time or to be considered like a foreigner
Yeah.
player?
Um, some players do that. I know. I think Slonina did that. Christian Pulisic did that when he went to Dortmund.
Yeah,
He took out his Croatian passport from his dad or something. I don't think the Aaronsons. I think those guys are as American as you can get. I don't think they
as it
have
gets.
any ties out there. Which is why he had to wait till he turned 18 to move out there. I think was the thing, and why Pulisic was able to move out there before, because he got the Croatian European
Oh,
passport.
interesting.
Yeah, so
I didn't know that.
yeah, that's why you see a
Where
lot of
where was he playing at
uh,
before Frankfurt?
Paxton Aronson.
Union?
Yeah, I think he was with the Union. Yeah, let me confirm that real quick. Yeah, he was with the Union from 2020 to 2022. He was with Union's second team, and then 2021 to 23. This year, when he moved, he made 37 appearances with the Union, scoring 4 goals. So yeah, I mean, Germany's always
Not bad.
Germany, like the
Hmm.
Premier League's always an attractive option for American players.
For the USMNT.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
it sits well.
yeah, for sure. And one of the other guys I kind of want to highlight here is Matthew Hoppy, who's kind of been struggling with Middlesbrough out there in England. Doesn't get many appearances out there, so a good January camp could maybe push him to move somewhere, or maybe
Yeah,
show his coach in Middlesbrough that he deserved more playing time. So you know, I don't know how I necessarily feel about this camp. There's been a lot of comments on Twitter from various USMNT accounts and followers that a lot of them are split. We shouldn't have a January camp. Why do we have a camp? And a lot of them are like, oh man, it gives us a chance to see new players. Blah blah blah. Right? It's the MLS hasn't kicked off, so it's players that aren't even in season right now usually. And and since it's not an official FIFA date, players don't have to release their or teams don't have to release their players. So
yeah.
like
Hmm.
Paxton Aronson, who's out there in Frankfurt this weekend, the Bundesliga starts, and you're gonna pull him out right as it starts. Like, come on,
Hmm.
man. Or like the what's his name? The Club America guy,
Oh,
Zendejas.
Alejandro Zendejas. Yeah, Liga
Yeah,
MX is
like
like on the third
Liga,
week
yeah,
of.
and you're gonna pull him from America? Like, I see the benefits to this, but I also see the downsides. This won't any player that's between the U.S. and another team like Brandon Vazquez or Zendejas. This won't cap tie them to the U.S. It won't like they'll still be able to play for Mexico since they're not official. But I guess
Mhm.
it gives fans a chance to see them and the coach a chance to see them. But we don't have a coach, so what the hell? So I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand. I see. I don't. I also see. I guess the argument of what's the point of this, right? I personally think from a federation perspective, like the U.S. soccer, to me is a chance to either renew my commitment to some of these players that might be on the edge of, I don't know if I want to play with the USMNT, or if I want to play with the other national team that I might be able or eligible for. um, and I think it's also interesting to see, the likes of, for example, Jonathan Gomez. This is the first time I think that I've heard from him, and I'm not sure if he has a dual citizenship or dual nationality. But I think I also find it interesting that they're pulling him for this specific camp. Um, I for the MLS guys, I think the teams are okay with it because MLS, it's pretty much intertwined with U.S. soccer, so I think it will be hard for them to say no. Um,
And
but
they're
then
not in
again,
season, right?
exactly. So I also see the situation of, you're probably gonna put a lot of these players, especially the ones that are not fit or 100% fit, in jeopardy of getting injured before their season starts, or maybe putting Paxton Aronson on a predicament where he's committed to the USMNT, but you just made a move, dude, to
Yeah,
Frankfurt.
yeah,
And now you're gonna tell your coach at your club saying like, "Hey, man, I got a dart. I know I just got here a month ago, but I'll see you, in a couple of days, right?" So, you think that's gonna seed well with the coach? You think that's gonna,
yeah. I, I know I just got here a month ago, and I know the Bundesliga starts this weekend, but deuces, man, good luck. Yeah, like I mean, I would have rejected that in a heartbeat. Like, man, you're trying to
yeah,
impress your new coach, you're trying to impress your new teammates. Like, stay out there. Yeah,
yeah.
I don't.
Missing this camp doesn't mean anything, right?
Yeah, 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 for sure. And you're at Frankfurt, you know you're gonna get another call up. It's not like, oh man, this is my one chance. Like no, I don't know. But yeah, I see the benefits and I see the downsides to this.
People say, "Well, it's a chance to see, new players," but you're calling freaking Walker Zimmerman, dude.
Killing Acosta, Aaron Long. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't get that either. I guess they wanted to call some quote unquote World Cup players to kind of
Yeah, so they could
lead this
sell the
team.
tickets or whatever.
I guess.
Yeah,
But
completely stupid.
to the big news coming out of this release, it was the two players,
Mhm,
Zendejas and Brandon Vazquez, that are kind of called in. Two similar kind of backgrounds, but not really. Starting with Brandon Vazquez, he was kind of similar to Ricardo Pepi, right? He's born in California,
mhm,
born in the United States. Like Pepi, Pepi was born in El Paso, Texas. But this guy was born in the state to Mexican parents, and he's played for the USA Youth 17, Youth 19, and Youth 20. He has never played or represented Mexico in any of the youth teams or major or main team. He's not that young. He's 24 years old, but he's hitting the best season he's ever had with FC Cincinnati here. Um,
mhm.
he's an interesting player that's been doing well in the MLS this year, and that kind of has been on the radar for both Mexico and the U.S. What do you think led him to accept this call, and do you think he still, has a chance for Mexico, or do you think Mexico's still interested in him?
So, I think, like any player who has, I think, well, first of all, I think any football player has the desire to play in a World Cup, right? And so if a national team calls you up and that's the only option that the only tangible option that you have right now, I think you're gonna take it no matter what, right? And then on top of that, he is in a situation where Doña Fede has not made a move for him. Like they haven't called him, they haven't show up, they haven't shown any interest whatsoever. So I
Right,
think for him it's a situation of let me go to the camp, let me network out there. Whether if these are two bullshit games, I don't really care. To me, it's a situation of I'm gonna put my foot in the door and I'm gonna make sure that I mingle with the team, that I try to make some friends, and then I find my way into the actual USMNT for the actual FIFA games, right?
right.
Um, and then on top of that, man, it's I know he was born in California, most likely from Mexico, well, for Mexican parents or from Mexican uh, heritage, right?
Hmm.
And I think this is one of those situations where he and I saw an interview that he did where he was saying like there's no wrong choice for me. If I go and play with the USMNT, I'm okay with it. If I go and play for eltri, I'm okay with it as well. He's in a win-win situation. I also feel that he's one of those Mexican American players that feels maybe as a fan more um, related to the USMNT, but has that family kind of yearn to I wanna get back to my roots, or like something like that. But I just feel that I think based on what I've seen on interviews that he feels more comfortable as an USMNT rather than a L3 player for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the opposite of Alejandro Zendejas. Zendejas is kind of a different situation, same kind of Mexican American, but he was actually born in Mexico, in Ciudad Juarez. He came to the states as
Mhm.
a young kid to Texas, and then he kind of played for FC Dallas as he was coming up through the team through his youth career. and then he moved to Mexico in 2016. Has been playing in Liga MX since 2016, moving around
Mhm.
Guadalajara, Necaxa, and now with America. Um, and he's probably one that I'm not going to put words in his mouth, right? But he was born in Mexico, and he'll probably be one that's like you said, he's coming to network. He's not hasn't committed at all to the U.S. Hasn't
Mhm.
committed to Mexico. He's played for Mexico in the Mexico main squad twice in 2021, starting in 2021. But he also played for the
Mhm.
U21 in 2017 for Mexico and U23 in 2021 for Mexico. Before that, playing a couple games, more than a couple games, in the youth system of the United States for the youth 15 and youth 17. So he's played for both under 21 teams. But at the same time, since 2016, he's been in Liga MX. He's Mexican born. He, you know, like you said, a World Cup comes calling. You want to go to World Cup, you'll take whatever you can get to the World Cup. But
Yeah.
his heart probably tells him more in Mexico than the United States. But at the same time, you know, if US is calling me up and they're the only ones calling me up, shit, he was probably thinking,
Why
I'll do
not?
it.
Why not
Yeah,
take it, right? Mhm.
right.
With Zendejas, I think it's more interesting that with Brandon Vasquez. And don't get me wrong, I when I discovered Brandon Vasquez, I fell in love with him, dude. I ain't gonna lie. So Doña Fede, ponte al tiro. Anyways, but with Zendejas, I think it's a very big involved move by the USMNT. Um, and this is at least from the from eltri perspective, it's a point of contention because this is maybe the first time where we see a formado in Mexico player actually reaching out to the USMNT, which it always happens the other way around, where you
Right.
see, the likes of Araujo, the likes of Efrain Alvarez, um, going and trying to see if they can actually make a move to El Tri. And most recently, you have David Ochoa, who has expressed publicly he wants to represent Mexico. And then I also seen Ricardo Pepi being butthurt by not being called to the World Cup and trying to see if he can actually make a transfer to El Tri, even though he already played on some FIFA friendlies with USMNT. But I think with Zendejas, specifically with Zendejas, the situation came from there's a big rumor going around, man, where on you said that he represented Mexico in 2021 on two unofficial friendly matches, right?
Yeah.
Shortly after that, uh, they pushed El Tata to make a lot of moves for these kind of players that had dual nationality, and they were pushing El Tata along with Doña Fede's approval, to essentially make them commit to El Tri. And so there's a very strong rumor going around saying that before the 31 roster for the, I guess, small preseason on Girona
Mhm.
in Spain, they were gonna call Zendejas. And when they sat down with them, they were like, "Look, we're gonna actually not only take you to this 20, you're only going to be part of this 20 30 31 player roster. We're actually going to take you to the World Cup. But there's one thing that we want you to do, which is we want a legal commitment to El
Mhm.
Tri. So if you want to join us on this tour in Spain, before you jump into the plane, you have to sign this contract bounding you to El Tri legally and committing to El Tri for, I don't know, for, I guess, for the rest of the career, right? Because he's going to be playing for El Tri. And so Sendejas didn't like it because he felt pressure to it. And I think he also maybe realized that, hey, you know what? I don't really need to play for El Tri to go to a World Cup. It is. I wouldn't necessarily say that he's better than any of the other USMNT players right now,
Mhm.
but he's definitely a very interesting one, and you can make a case of bringing him in because he also has opportunity to actually go to Europe, and I think he's also interested in that. Like if he decides to go with USMNT, I think he also thinks that he might find an easier path to go to Europe with the help of US Soccer rather than with Doña Fede and her sequaces. So
Yeah.
it's man, it's messed up. I As much as I want these players to commit to El Tri, I want them to do it, willingly. I don't want them to feel that they had to do it just because eltri wants them to do it, and eltri has to do a better job on convincing them to join them. And on top of that, is like, you don't have that many freaking forwards, right? Why are you fucking wasting your time and not luring him into the three, and you're letting USMNT your fucking lunch?
Yeah. No, yeah, I don't know, man. It's also kind of a weird situation with these dual nationals that's like you as a fan of the country want them to express desire to play for the country. And yeah, you're mad with the federation for not pursuing them, but you're also like, if this guy really wanted to play for three, or if this guy really wanted to play for the USA, he would have made a decision already. Why is he shopping
Right.
around trying to see, who has the better offer for him? And right now, for these two guys, um, the US might be more attractive offer, just because of the program they have going on. Although, like you said, the amount of players, they might see it as a way to, you know, get to the next level by, the connection that the US has with Europe. They've been sending
Mhm.
so many people, players successfully to Europe, while the three is kind of stagnant right now. People are actually coming back from Europe. Um, so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, what happens with these two guys and future dual nationals moving forward, because they're just going to keep popping up more and more. There's so many Mexican, focus on Mexican here, Mexican American, people in the United States, that all these dual nationals, like you said, Julian Araujo, Zendejas, Ricardo Pepi, all those guys. There's going to be more and more coming up, and it's going to be a bidding war moving forward between the two national teams
Yeah.
that it's going to be interesting to see.
And El Tri has to make a movement. They have to be on the edge on this. They have to be on the advantage. And they're just lacking behind. You don't have freaking forwards, and you let it Brandon Vasquez,
Yeah.
just slip away. Like, why?
Yep.
You don't have talent in your own local league. Might as well start looking out there.
Yep. I guess we'll end it with that, man. Let's see what happens in this national team January window for the U.S., and see if they also are able to kind of finalize their situation with the coach. But I don't think that's going to be as quick as it is going to be for Entry.
Yeah.
Um, well, Adrian, appreciate you hopping on again with me as my co-host, man. I'll
Anytime,
be
bro. Hey, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on notifications on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other podcast service. And then you can also find us at Puro Pinche Gol on Twitter, Instagram. And yeah, check us out.
for sure. Appreciate it, guys. And Adrian, see you in the next one.
See you, man. Take it easy.
See ya.